Hey, what's up guys? Dishsoap here with a legend guide. It's the new set mechanic for set 9, and all the legends will do is they will give you 100% guarantee on certain, like on an augment slot. Like for an example, in game, say you take Aurelion Sol, you're guaranteed on 2-1 to get cutting corners for silver, Patient Study for gold, level up Prismatic on 2-1, and then you're guaranteed to get 3-2 and 4-2 augments. I'll be going through all of the legends in the video. Yeah, just a way to guarantee your augments. They're all supposed to tailor to certain kind of playstyles. Aurelion Sol is all about leveling up, playing some 5 costs. Bard is also about leveling up, but not leveling up fast, leveling up slow and getting an advantage when you do it. Caitlyn's all about early game tempo. It's the idea of it. Draven's about killing units and getting rewarded for it. Ezreal's just about getting lots of item components. Lee Sin is supposed to be the reroll legend. Master Yi is all about team scaling with attack speed and other buffs. Ornn is all about Ornn items. Pingu is all about, I guess, just HP. All the 2-1 augments save you HP. Apparently it's good for beginners. Poro is actually just no legends at all, and while that might seem like it's a negative, there's actually a lot of advantages to that. Tahm Kench is about getting gold. TF is about getting your exact items, like it says. Earth is about emblems. All their augments on 2-1 give you emblems, or tome. Veigar is another, like, combat augment legend, but his combat augment is a Jeweled Lotus. And Vladimir is the last combat augment one, and Lee Sin's attack speed, Veigar's crit, and Vladimir is health. This legend guide is going to be from a top player's perspective. If you want to approach the legend system by picking which one fits your playstyle, feel free. That's what the system is intended for. But this video is going to be like a min-max kind of deal where I tell you what I think is going to be best on the competitive level. I will say though, as a disclaimer, I don't think the legends are impactful enough that, like, I don't think the best legend is gonna be much better than the worst legend, because since you have 6 augment rerolls, there's actually a lot of times where you don't even want to take the legend augments. So if you're not taking the legend augments, then your legend's just irrelevant. There's no like other like stat or unit bonuses, so it's just about certain guaranteed augments. Even if you're playing a low tier legend, it's not a big deal, but here we're trying to min-max. Starting off with Ezreal. Actually, before I go through this, there is something important just about legends in general. The most important thing when evaluating legends is the 2-1 augment. Why is that? It's because all the 2-1 augments are normal augments you can see in the game. They're just in the normal augment pool. You'll see them even if you don't have the legend. But the 3-2 and 4-2 augments for every single legend are like special legend augments that are designed to be weaker than your normal augment. So if you're trying to be optimal, most games you're not supposed to be taking these 3-2 and 4-2 legend augments. So the 2-1 is the most impactful one. If there is a good 3-2 or 4-2 augment, I will mention it, but most of the time this is just a reroll for these two. And the other thing I wanted to mention is your augment odds on 2-1. I think I'll pull up the odds like in editing, but I believe it's like 20-something% for a silver augment on 2-1, 60-something% for a gold augment on 2-1, and like 15 or 16 or something percent for a prismatic augment on 2-1. You're going to be seeing the gold augment by far the most, and then the silver, and then the prismatic. There are a couple of portals that give you more prismatic augments, so that's something to consider. You'll actually see more prismatics than 15 or 16%, but generally I'm looking at the gold augment when I'm looking for consistency. I will be rating these mostly just based on the gold augment. So Ezreal, I thought he was really good on PvE, but they nerfed cutting corners and patient study. Now I think he's not good. They also nerfed a bunch of the 5 costs, so even if you go fast 9, fast 10, you're not even guaranteed to win. I think the best late game carry is probably Ahri, so if you can get to a good Ahri board with this, that's probably the win con. So I'm probably not going to pick Ezreal. I don't think it's really good with the patient study nerf, but if you like going fast 9, this is for you. Bard. His augments are all about this caretaker's thing. It's a new kind of augment for the set. Basically, when you reach level 6, you either... His silver one gives you a 2-star tier 3 unit. Pretty solid. Gold augment, when you reach level 6, gain 3 random components. Then when you reach level 8, gain 2 random components. And the prismatic one is at level 5, you get a radiant item, radiant armory. And then at level 9, you get the effect again. Personally, I don't really think these augments are good at high elo. Being down an augment for early game is often not good. Like, you can say yada yada yada, just lose streak and then spike on level 6, but lose streaking is rarely ever optimal. It's usually just something you have to do if your spot's bad, and you don't want to be forcing yourself into a bad spot where you're down an augment to get like a slightly better than average result. I think the Bard augments are just not very good, and I would not pick Bard. Actually, these Zeke's augments are actually kind of solid. If you're playing a comp that can use Zeke's, I don't think these are that bad. This is one of the pickable 4-2 augments, but Bard is not the only legend that gives you the Zeke's augment. So if you're considering this, I still wouldn't pick Bard. Caitlyn. I think this might be a hot take / unpopular opinion because I've actually seen quite a bit of Caitlyn on PvE, but I don't really think she's that good. Silver one's pretty forgettable. You get 1 tier, 1 2-tier units, and 1 tier 3. I mean, it's 8 gold for a silver. Like, it's not a bad augment, but personally, I just prefer combat. That's just me. I think the silver one is fine. I think Stars Are Born is super overrated. It's basically true twos where you get to choose what units you want, which sounds amazing, but that's before you realize that you actually have to pay the gold to buy it. So you're not getting it's not like free money like true twos is. You're not getting 8 gold. You're getting 6 gold. I was actually not really a fan of true twos, not really a fan of this, but if you want to win streak stage 2, that's fine. Just know that you'll be down a lot of combat power. Starter kit for Prismatic is very good. That is the saving grace of Caitlyn. This augment gives you so much direction. Probably going to be the highest top 4 rate. I don't know if they're going to have stats. That's a whole other thing. But super, super easy top 4 of this augment. But it's all in Prismatic. You're not going to see it that often. So I wouldn't pick Caitlyn just to get starter kit. Knowledge download, irrelevant, rolling for days. Yeah, these augments are just not very good. I wouldn't take them. So Draven, I think at like in a balanced lobby where everyone's at equal skill level, I think Draven is not a very good play. I would only take these units if I had like a super, super strong opener. Say I had like 3 upgraded units with good items to play around, so I could actually like guarantee the streak. If you don't have that, I think you're gonna often find that you're not getting value out of your augment. If you want to smurf and farm a bunch of gold to get it's probably gonna be the best way to get a 3-star 5 cost. At a competitive level, I don't think this is good. Balanced budget, rolling for days, not relevant. Ezreal is okay. It's the same problem with Ornn. Slow effects are usually just not good in high low. I actually think Buried Treasures 1 is good though. 2 components for a tier 1, pretty good, but you're mostly just looking at this at the tier 2. And the tier 2 is Ganna Random item component at the start of the next 3 rounds. It's just like super, super slightly too slow. If you got the 3 components like 1 round earlier, I would think this augment's like really good, but you're probably gonna be in a scenario where like you could drop 1 component, you could drop like 1 or 2 components, but you don't know what you want to slam because you're waiting for the 3rd component to like inform your decision, and then after you get the 3rd component, you're also going to carousel, so you kind of want to make the decision to that, because what if you just slam the wrong item? Like 3 components was very, very good for component grab bag whenever that was available on 2-1, but this augment is just IMO, it's just slightly too slow, and I think Buried Treasures 3, don't really like it. It's the same problem, it's just slow. But if you like a lot of components, playing a lot of duo trio carries, solid option. I mean, I'll do like a tier list at the end of this, but I think below average, personally. Reforger, Remover, Lesser Champion Duplicator are like sometimes good in very niche scenarios, but not good normally. And I don't think Well-Earned Comfort is very good. It's just a shitty cybernetics. Okay, Lee Sin. I think Lee Sin is gonna bait a lot of people, mostly because of this trade sector augment. Lee Sin is being marketed as like the reroll hero or reroll legend. So if you're new to the game, looking at this legend, you're thinking, oh, Lee Sin, that's the real one. I like reroll. I'm gonna play Lee Sin, and I don't think it's very good for that. I'll explain. So Trade Sector, a common misconception with Trade Sector is that it's good for reroll. Trade Sector is actually not good for reroll. It's good for keeping your board upgraded as you push normal level tempo, but reroll comps most of the time are going to be playing a lose streak early game where they econ up and then roll down later into the game. Trade Sector actually does not work with this playstyle at all because you're losing your stage 2 econ for just a couple extra pairs, but you want to be lose streaking anyway, so you might actually have to sell the pairs to make econ. It's rough. Trade Sector is a tempo augment, not a reroll augment. It's like a below average tempo augment, so if I'm picking Lee Sin, I don't really want to be seeing Trade Sector all the time, so I'm not the biggest fan of Lee. What I will say though is On a Roll is very good. If you're playing Lee Sin, you're looking for On a Roll. But I don't think it's very good with anything besides 1 cost reroll. Like maybe 2 costs, that's fine. But the strat for this is you just save up all your money, and then on 3-1, the round after Krugs, you just roll all the way to 0, and you buy every single 1 cost. And then whenever you start with champion, you get a 3 free shop refresh. So it's basically like a golden ticket for like a silver augment if you just buy all the 1 costs. If like the high skill cap players will be able to use this well on 3-1, just get a bunch of 3-star 1 costs. And maybe that's a consistent enough strategy that you can take Lee, try to force this. Personally, I think the mediocre Trade Sector and Shopping Spree are not worth the On a Roll high roll. Personally, I didn't even mention Shopping Spree. So Shopping Spree, you just gain 1 gold per round, and you level up, you get a number of free shop refreshes. I'll be honest, I actually have not played with it, but from what I've heard from other people is that they were not that impressed with this augment, but feel free to try it out. And then 3-2, just duplicators, not that Important. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Most of the time it's not. And then 4-2, it's just gold. Slightly worse than Windfall, but it's delayed. Yeah, not a fan. Yee. I think this legend will probably be good eventually. I just think it's undertuned. It's mostly just pumping up 1 and pumping up 2 are just not that good. The scaling is just so slow. You're only getting 7% attack speed per stage. I don't think it counts carousel. You're getting 6 attack speed per stage. You're starting at 5, so stage 4 you're at like 17% attack speed, which it's like almost a Zeke's. But it's like stage 4. It takes so long to scale up, and then late game, it's like not even that impressive, the low ones. The thing is, like, if they buff like the starting attack speed to like 10%, like they have in the prismatic one, I think Yi might actually be pretty good. But I just think pumping up 1, pumping up 2 are just too low to justify it, and I think Vlad kind of does what Yi does better. I will say though, pumping up 3, quite good. But I don't think you take a legend just to pray for your prismatic. For a legend to be good, you want the gold augment has to be good. And then Battle Ready is actually one of the 3-2 augments I actually think is pretty good. And when I say good, I don't think it's like an augment you take all the time. I just think it's like an average combat augment, which honestly is like pretty like a lot of times it's all you need, just an average combat augment. It's never gonna be the best option, but it's there. You're never gonna be able. If you take Yi, you're never gonna be down a 3-2 combat augment. And then 4-2, you're gonna generate. Yeah, I don't think the generate more mana move 4% faster is very good. Yeah, I think this sucks. So yeah, 4-2 augment's kind of a wash. Ornn. I actually like Ornn. The only reason is that Portable Forge has consistently, it's consistently been one of the best 2-1 augments, and it's a way to force it. Now, they actually did change, they added new Ornn items, I think removed some. Let's see if we can find that. New Ornn items. So keeping Animal Visage, Death Defiance, Eternal Winter. I think they all have the same stats. Keeping Infinity Force, Manazane, Cleaver, Randuin's, Collector, Zanya's. Okay, they're keeping all of them. They're just adding some. Oh, they removed Blitzhook. Yeah, they removed Blitzhook and added a few more. Hull Crusher is just defensive stats and attack speed, and if there are no adjacent allies, you get 600 health. It's basically just a Warmogs with some extra stats. Honestly, it's not bad. The attack speed is actually pretty useful for some early game tanks. Warwick is an attack speed healing tank because he heals. It's an attack speed, a really good item if you have a Warwick tank early. Can probably win streak you. Trickster's Glass, just a bunch of random stats, and you summon a clone. Now, it's not like Woodland Charm, it's only 70% effectiveness and 20% increased mana, but Woodland has been a premium prismatic early game, and getting a 70% for a gold augment, and you get these extra stats, it's probably top tier. Sniper's Focus. 40% attack speed, 15 AD. Attacks and abilities deal 10% increased damage for each hex between the target and the holder. Generally, a range unit is going to be 4 hexes away from the enemy, so that's going to be a 40% increased bonus, which is 15% more than Giant Slayer and Guardbreaker when active. And you also get the attack speed, which is insane, 40% base attack speed. I think RFC is like 60, correct me if I'm wrong. But it's a lot of attack speed, and 15 AD. This item is nuts. And Deadeyes actually have longer attack range, so I think they have +1. So it's going to be 50% bonus on Deadeye units. So yeah, really, really good damage item. And Deathfire's Grasp, 50 AP, 30 mana. The base stats on it are insane. It's almost a death cap, and you get mana as well. And you fire blast of energy at the current target, marking them dealing 20% of max health with magic damage, so it helps with clearing a tank. And for the next 6 seconds, the holder deals 50% increased damage to the marked enemy and 25% other enemies. Really, really good with burst units, so units that pop up at the start of the fight. If you put a Lux and you line it up with the tank, it'll probably just melt the tank instantly. I had someone play like Teemo and Sona with this, and they like deleted my backline in 2 seconds, which was not very fun for me, but he probably had fun. So decent item if you're playing AP. Just because of the raw stats. Oh, but yeah, these items are all super, super, super good. They've always been good. Being able to guarantee an Ornn item on 2-1 is fantastic. Probably the most consistent, the most safe legend for me, personally. The bad part about it is that I don't think Latent Forge is very good. It's the same thing. Like, it's a silver augment, but I think waiting all these rounds is just not that good in high elo. You want immediate impact. So yeah, I wouldn't take Latent Forge that often. And then Living Forge, it's the same thing. You just have to wait so long for more items. I don't think Living Forge is very good. But Portable Forge makes up for it. 3-2 augments, nothing special. I think Masterful Job can be okay on 4-2. Honestly, Job Well Done is actually okay as well. Like, honestly, these augments, like, if you really need items, these are fine. Like, honestly, all the 4-2 augments are fine. But they're like slightly below average, which is a lot better than some of the other ones we've seen. You get really, really good 2-1, consistent 2-1, and decent 4-2. Pingu. If you can guarantee hitting Piltover on 2-1, Pingu is BIS. Now the problem with that is that you're probably only going to get that like 20% of your games. And if you don't have Piltover on 2-1, I don't think you want Pingu. The game has evolved Good players know how to leverage their HP, go down really low, and then win out. Not the biggest fan of this. I probably wouldn't play it. Item grab bag, pretty meh. Final grab bag, pretty meh. But if you really want to play for the big tilt over cash out, Pingu is probably the best for that. And then Poro. So Poro is actually like one of the most interesting ones to me. So with Poro, you're not getting any Legend Augments, which it's bad on 2-1. You don't get the consistent tailoring on 2-1, but it's good on 3-2 and 4-2 because you're just getting an extra 2 augment slots, because most of these 3-2 4-2 augments, like, let's just say they're trash. So you're getting to see 2 extra augments per game usually, which is good. But personally, I think the consistency of some of these 2-1 augments are just a little too good. But I would probably rate Poro like slightly below, I guess, the best legend. I'll go over that at the end of this though. But definitely top half of the legends. Just, I don't think he's the best. Tahm Kench. I don't think Tahm Kench is very good. Hedge Fund got nerfed. It used to be infinite interest, now it's capped at 10. Pretty sad. AFK recently, I think it got nerfed at the end of last set to 18. Not the biggest fan of it anymore. Early game matters a lot. Rich Get Richer has always... I've never liked Rich Get Richer, and you're going to be seeing Rich Get Richer the most out of Tahm Kench, so I'm probably just going to avoid Tahm Kench. But if you really like Rich Get Richer for whatever reason, go ahead. Just not my style. And then the rest of his augments are just gold. Yeah. Okay. TF. This is where it gets into my personal opinion, because I've been following the PBE, and a lot of people take TF, especially China. I've seen screenshots with like 8 people playing TF, and I know a lot of people are like complaining about TF being too consistent. Here's my hot take though. I think it's like super overrated. Pandora's augment has been consistently below average. We can look that up right now. We'll just look at said 8 stats. I believe it's actually the second worst silver in the game. There are a few factors that make it more appealing this set. Number 1, there's no opening carousel where you get to pick your item. Your first 3 components are just full random. And there's also no guaranteed component anvil on stage 4 PvE. So that's 2 less options that you get to pick your component. So I get the appeal. You're just making it more consistent. Personally, I just don't think it's worth being down a combat augment just to force the consistency. If you really want to hard force one comp every game, this is the augment for it. It just lets you hard force. I don't think that's the best way to play TFT, but if you want to play TFT that way, go ahead. I think it's like very overrated. Also, people are doing this thing where they build like 6 Zeeks. I'll tell you right now that stuff sucks. Zeeks is kind of overrated. Zeeks stacking. The augments that give you Zeeks are pretty good just because they give you gold, especially the silver. Getting Zeeks and 5 gold, like, kind of insane if you compare it to this one. And then 2 Zeeks can be an okay prismatic. Also, one thing about TF is that the gold, if you compare the gold augment to the silver augment, you're only getting 1 more component, and you're going to be seeing the gold augment most of the time. And is 1 component really worth the whole tier jump from silver to gold? Pandora's, like, the silver one, it's definitely the best one out of the 3, and like you already see that in the stats, it's consistently like below average. So I just don't see the hype. You get to be consistent, but I'm just going to take Ornn, get my overpowered Ornn item, streak the entire game, and I'm going to be chilling while you guys sit here waiting for your Zeeks to roll over. I think the prismatic one is actually terrible, though. Radiant items are only good when you choose them. Like, getting a random one is kind of sus, and rolling it every turn is also super sus. So yeah, prismatic one sucks. Urf is the most meta-dependent of these augments. I think he's either just, you're not going to take him, or he's going to be the most broken one. It's all going to depend on how good the emblems are. What I will say, though, is that since you're if you play Urf, you're guaranteed to get a tome most of the time. And what you can do with that information is that you can actually tailor your board for tome on stage 1 during the PvE round. So it's super easy to tailor tome. Like, say I want to force a Zon emblem, I could like play Warwick on my board and then pop the tome on 2-1 to try to get a Zon emblem. It makes 2-1 tome quite a lot better. I will say, though, that on the recent PvE, they've nerfed a lot of the verticals. Also, I will say that Urf is usually something that gets better at the end of the set when people figure out the meta. I think at the beginning, with all the experimentation, you can get kind of dizzy yourself with Urf. Would maybe wait on that until meta is solved at least a little bit. But I definitely see the potential for Urf to be super good. I think the best emblem right now is probably either Zon or Shurima. So if you can get an early Zon or Shurima emblem, kind of good. Next, Veigar. I don't think this augment's very good. They nerfed Jeweled Lotus 2 from 20% to 10%. It's actually really big nerf. And then Jeweled Lotus 1, it's good, but you need like a super strong carry to justify it, because it only works on your strongest unit. If you don't have a setup for like a strong solo early game carry, I don't really like it. Jeweled Lotus 3 is insane though. I will say. Probably, it's looked like the best combat augment in the game. So if you want to high roll Jeweled Lotus 3 and get the insane Omega Cap, Veigar, might be good, but I think just Jewel Lotus 2 and Jewel Lotus 1 are not that good enough. Tiny Power, I feel like the stats that you guys are just too low. I'm not really that interested. And then Ascension actually doesn't really pair with Jewel Lotus that well, because Jewel Lotus usually wants to like burst, and Ascension you need 15 seconds of combat, and none of your stats help you get to Ascension, so I don't think Ascension's that good with the Veigar. And then Vladimir. I think Vladimir is super good and super consistent, and I'll explain the strategy. So his 2-1 augments Transfusion, just gives your team max health, and then more max health the more HP you lose. And then battle ready, your team deals more damage and takes less damage. Note though, your team taking less damage synergizes very well with your team having extra HP. There is a lot of internal synergy in Vlad, and then Ascension also really scales well with having a lot of HP, because if your units have more health, take less damage, they will probably survive until Ascension, and then you can kill the whole board. The way I've seen this used is you play super tanky comps. The ones I've seen succeed are like Bruisers #1, Juggernauts #2, and I guess Shurima as well. You just play a super tanky team comp, you get a bunch of defensive stats, and then once you hit Ascension, you just one-shot their board. Yeah, you lose streak stage 2, get your items. You might actually, like, it's actually fine to probably lose streak stage 3 as well, just gain more and more HP, and then roll down on like 4-1. You have a bunch of extra stats, and then you take Ascension 4-2, and if you don't miss on 7, like, you're probably the strongest person in the lobby, and you can just ride that tempo into the end of the game. Super consistent, lots of combat power. I think Vlad is super strong. If I were to rank them, I guess we could do A, B, C, D. That's fine. I think in D tier, it's going to be Bard. I just don't think Caretakers is good at all, so I never take Bard. I don't think there's like any redeeming qualities for Bard. Bard might be solo D tier. Yeah, okay, Bard will be solo D tier. Okay, C tier, probably Acel. After the XP augment nerfs and the late game unit nerfs, don't think Acel's very good anymore. Ezreal probably also goes in C tier. I'm not even the biggest fan of Twisted Fate, but I feel like Twisted Fate is just Ezreal but better. Waiting for components is just not that good at high elo. He probably joins him in C tier, just a worse version of Vlad, IMO. Need to buff pumping up 1 and 2. To be good. Pingu in C tier. Only good situation for Pingu is 2-1 Piltover. Not that good otherwise. And then Tahm Kench also joins C tier. Just don't think these gold augments are that good. B tier. B tier, probably go Caitlyn. Mostly just because starter kit. I think starter kit's really good. And 1, 2, 3 is like fine. Stars Reborn is like below average, but it's probably okay. But yeah, I'm not really excited by Caitlyn, but she's not horrible. Probably go Draven as well. Draven's probably the highest cap legend if you can just streak the whole game, but it's like all about the averages, right? On average, your Draven's not going to be that good. Lisa and B as well for the same reason. On a roll, insane for 1 customer roll. Trade sector and chopping spree pretty mid. B for Lee. Is that for B? I think I'll also put TF in B. Like CN will disagree with me. They'll rate TFS. They'll play TF and they'll force whatever comp they think is broken every game. That's just not the way I play TFT. It's my personal opinion. Yeah, not the biggest fan of TF. So B tier for TF. And then Veigar also in B tier. Solid combat augments, just not best combat augments. IMO. And then A tier. Probably Poro. Poro's an A tier. You don't get the benefit of 2-1 tailoring, but you are guaranteed good 3-2 and 4-2 augments. Actually, okay, honestly, we just won't go to S tier, but Poro's at the bottom of A tier. Let's do that. Joining A tier, Vladimir, just super consistent, really good internal synergy, and works really well with stuff like Bruisers, Juggernauts, Shurima. Just stall comps that can use hyper carries to finish the game, like Kai'Sa, Azir, Rek'Sai, all that stuff. Quite a big fan of Vladimir. I think he's really good, consistent. Urf also goes in A tier. This one has probably the biggest potential to break the game. TFT has had a history with emblems being not very balanced, and being able to force emblems is always good in those kind of metas. And then I think the best one is actually Ornn. Not that exciting. We've had Ornn items for like as long as there have been augments, but it's consistent and it's like a proven strategy that taking Portable Forge on 2-1 is insane. So yeah, Ornn top of A tier are going to be my #1 pick. It's probably what I'm going to be running on the day 1 of ranked. And yeah, that's augments explained and augment tier list, I guess. If you have thoughts about augments and what you guys are excited for, just let me know. And yeah, that'll be it for today.